On this edition for Sunday, September 1st, the latest on the mass shooting in Texas. Hurricane Dorian intensifies and draws closer to the southeast coast. And in our signature segment, preparing for the worst. Next on PBS NewsHour Weekend.
PBS NewsHour Weekend is made possible by Bernard and Irene Schwartz, Sue and Edgar Wachenheim III, the Cheryl and Philip Milstein family, the JPB Foundation, Rosalind P. Walter, in memory of George O'Neill, Barbara Hope Zuckerberg. Corporate funding is provided by Mutual of America, designing customized individual and group retirement products. That's why we're your retirement company. Additional support has been provided by and by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you. From the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center in New York, Hari Srinivasan.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. The death toll is now 7 after yesterday's car chase and mass shooting in West Texas. Local and federal law enforcement agencies are investigating at more than a dozen crime scenes stretching between the cities of Midland and Odessa. The gunfire began on the side of a highway and ended outside a movie theater. NewsHour Weekend's Megan Thompson has the latest.
The rampage began with what Texas law enforcement officials say was a routine traffic stop on Saturday around 3:15 p.m. local time in Midland, a small city in western Texas. From inside his car, the driver opened fire, hitting a state trooper, and sped off. The suspect, described as a white man in his 30s, shot randomly at civilians with an AR-type rifle as he led law enforcement on a chase from Midland to neighboring Odessa. At one point, the suspect hijacked a postal service van, killing a postal worker, and continued his shooting spree. When it was over, 7 people were dead, ages 15 to 57, and more than 20 were wounded.
Oh my God!
Terrified motorists captured the chase on their cell phones,
Oh my God!
while people evacuated from a movie theater in Odessa fled into the parking lot.
Hold on, stay down, stay down, stay down, stay down, stay down.
Law enforcement officials have not yet released a list of the victims and said they're still investigating the motive of the gunmen.
You'll notice that I'm not naming this subject, and there's a reason for that. I refuse to. I'm not going to give him any notoriety for what he did.
The chase came to an end with a shootout outside the Synergy movie theater in Odessa, where the police killed the suspect, identified late this afternoon as 36-year-old Seth Ator.
Joining me now from Odessa, Texas via FaceTime is Jake Bleiberg, criminal justice and law enforcement reporter for the Associated Press. Thanks for being with us. Is the picture any clearer this afternoon? Has there been any indication of what motivated this person to do this?
So what law enforcement is saying at this point is they really don't know why this happened. It's being actively investigated, but we have no clues at this point as to motive.
Now, you're joining us from a college campus that was on lockdown yesterday. How are people there reacting to this?
You know, it's really, the campus itself is almost fully, at least the part, the smaller part that I'm in, is really fully taken over by law enforcement. There are, FBI and Texas Ranger trucks filling the parking lot, and it, this whole community is still in the midst of responding to this. There are cars still in the street with bullet holes in their doors, and it's much of the space in Odessa is being processed as an active crime scene.
This happened yesterday, and this was the same month of the El Paso shooting. And this is also the same time now on September 1, a new law goes into effect regarding guns in Texas. What is it?
Yeah, there are several new laws that have come into effect here, and really to put them together, what they do broadly is to allow people to carry guns in more spaces. It makes it easier to carry a firearm in a church or a synagogue. It makes it easier for people who might rent their homes to carry a firearm in their rented space. The landlords can't prohibit that, and these laws were celebrated by the NRA and its affiliate here in Texas as a great success.
Jake, how's this community mourning this?
So there's a vigil scheduled for tonight that I think is going to be the first official step in the mourning process. But from the people I've spoken to, I think they're still struggling to process what happened. I don't know that it's entirely real for people yet. I interviewed a doctor earlier today who treated someone who was shot yesterday, and he used repeatedly the word surreal to describe the experience. I almost think that the community's still in shock.
And what has the kind of official response been from the governor or the local authorities and officials on this tragedy?
So we heard from the governor, and he said that there needs to be action. He said that words are not enough, but there weren't a lot of details on just what that action will be. Likewise, the special agent in charge of the FBI for the El Paso district, which covers, of course, El Paso, and then also where I am here in Odessa, that this is becoming routine for the FBI. He said there's throughout the country a mass shooting of some kind at least every 2 weeks, and that they're anticipating the next one. That they're not stopping here.
Wow, that's unfortunate. Jake Bleiberg, Associated Press criminal justice and law enforcement reporter, joining us from Odessa, Texas tonight. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Moving now to Hurricane Dorian, which became a Category 5 storm today, smashing into the northwestern islands of the Bahamas and moving so slowly that torrential rains could continue to fall there for another 24 hours. Winds reached 180 miles per hour, making Dorian the strongest storm to ever hit the Bahamas and one of the top 10 most intense storms on record in the North Atlantic. Dorian grew in size overnight with hurricane-force winds, now extending up to 45 miles from the center. And forecasters adjusted the storm's predicted path, now showing it coming closer to Florida over the next few days before it turns northeast along the coasts of Georgia and the Carolinas. For the latest on Hurricane Dorian and what to expect, I'm joined by Ken Graham, Director for the National Hurricane Center at NOAA's National Weather Service Center in Miami. Thanks so much for joining us. So what's the latest that we have on the storm? We're talking Sunday afternoon now.
I tell you, it's just an incredibly strong storm. We just still got those high winds. We still got, landfall, making 2 landfalls already over the Bahamas. Just a dangerous situation for the Bahamas. That slow movement means, prolonged period of time with those powerful hurricane force winds and just torrential rainfall, up to 30 inches of rainfall, and also the storm surge for around the Bahamas. Some of these areas could get 18 foot, maybe even up to 23, 24 foot of storm surge. Just very devastating, life-threatening situation.
All right, so people on the United States mainland are concerned about how do we know where this is coming? Is there still room for it to come back in toward Florida? Does this go into Georgia or the Carolinas? How certain are we?
Yeah, this powerful storm like this, you get 185 mile an hour winds and just significant issues when you start slowing down a situation with this. So let's look at it for a second, especially on the timing, because it makes a difference in some of the track. This is 8 a.m. on Monday. That's 8 a.m. on Tuesday. That's slow movement. We do expect that slow eventual turn towards the north. However, I really need everyone to focus on this cone because there could be some error with this. You get a little bit of a wiggle, a little bit of a wobble, and they do that naturally. That can impact the forecast down the road. So if you look at this cone, you can still see a landfall in Florida. You can still see an eye, the hurricane center being right on the coast there. So there's still a couple solutions, but either way, no matter the solution, we will see impacts on the Florida coast.
People like to talk about Category 4, or 3, or 5. Basically, a hurricane's a hurricane and it's going to do some damage. But is there a danger here that as it comes from the Bahamas towards the mainland, does it pick up more energy? Does it get faster?
I think in this case, a lot of people do focus on that, and it's so important when we think of those categories. That's just the wind. So you have to talk about the impacts in addition to the wind. One of them is the storm surge. It really has nothing to do with the category. I mean, you can see slow storms, you can see large storms. It has to do with the characteristics of the storm. So when everyone's paying attention to the category, the reality is you still could get 4 to maybe even up to 7 foot of storm surge in some areas in Florida. So really, it's so important. Despite the category, even if you see the category change, continue to listen to the impacts that we're issuing from the National Hurricane Center and across NOAA, this big team effort to get the information on the storm out.
All right, Ken Graham, Director of the National Hurricane Center, joining us from Miami. Thanks so much.
You bet.
NewsHour correspondent John Yang is in Orlando, Florida, and he joins us now for more on the preparations and the planning ahead of this slow-moving storm. John, the graph of where this storm is going has shifted in the past couple of days. It's moved away from a direct hit to Florida. Has that changed how people are preparing?
Well, I tell you, Harry, what you see behind me pretty much sums it up. Here on the eastern half of Florida, we're at the Good Samaritan Society retirement community of Kissimmee Village, and they are voluntarily moving their patients who are under skilled nursing care to a sister facility in DeLand, Florida, that's on higher ground about 55 miles north of here. The evacuations that have been called for have been delayed because of the slow-moving nature of this storm. They're now going into effect up and down the coastal areas of Florida, on the east coast of Florida, for tomorrow morning. Even if this storm does not make a direct hit, does not make landfall on Florida, it still has the potential of doing a lot of damage. High winds, heavy rains, and that dangerous storm surge. And the storm surge could be particularly bad this time of year because right now is the time of the highest tides of the year, something called king tides, because of the alignment of the sun, the earth, and the moon, giving a great extra gravitational tug on those tides. So people are poised here. They're watching the forecast, watching the track very carefully, hoping that it does move east off the coast, but ready if it doesn't. If it makes a little tick to the west, they're prepared.
Given that there has been more time than usual, how is the state using that time to try to prepare resources to make sure that people have whatever resources that they need and putting them into position?
They've been talking a great deal about preparation. The governor here has been holding daily briefings practically, urging people to be ready, urging people to know and pay attention if an evacuation is called for, urging them to get supplies. You know, this is one of the states where preparation is something they practice. Since 2000, 8 major hurricanes have hit Florida, so there's probably no other state that's as well prepared and ready for something like this than Florida.
These are Floridians. They are used to storms. Is the fact that these hurricanes are happening more frequently changing how they prepare for this and perceive this?
I think that if anything, it's making them more alert, more attuned, more ready, that they have gotten their emergency plans down. A lot of them have batteries, flashlights, water, canned food ready in bins, and they just pulled them out for these things. I think that there is a great deal of anticipation that they know what the threat is, they know what the dangers are, and they're hoping that the track stays away, but they are prepared.
All right, John Yang for the NewsHour reporting from Florida tonight. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Ari.
The U.S. imposed a new round of tariffs on Chinese-made products today, this time adding 15% to the cost of thousands of imports from pens and pencils to lawnmowers and food. American consumers are likely to see higher prices on many products as a result. President Trump is also threatening another round of tariff increases on October 1st and again in December if China does not agree to a new trade deal.
But we can't allow China to rip us off anymore as a country. We can't allow China to take $500 billion a year out of our country. We can't do that.
China retaliated today with new tariffs of its own on more U.S. goods, including a tax on imported fuel. The two countries are scheduled to resume trade talks later this month. Taliban militants attacked a second Afghan city in as many days today as the U.S. and Taliban leaders say they are close to a peace agreement. Several civilians and police were killed during an attack in the northern Baghlan province. Yesterday, a suicide bomber killed at least 25 people and wounded 85 others in the city of Kunduz. Washington's peace envoy arrived in Kabul today for talks with the Afghan government and said the U.S. and the Taliban are at the threshold of an agreement. The U.S. is promising to withdraw many of its 14,000 remaining troops if the Taliban guarantees that Afghanistan will not be used as a launchpad for global terror. The Israeli military claimed today that the Lebanese militant group Hezbollah fired anti-tank missiles at one of its army bases. Israel quickly responded with heavy fire into southern Lebanon following a number of direct hits on the base. There was no word on casualties on either side from today's attacks. Israel positioned additional tanks and troops along the border with Lebanon yesterday and accused Iran of backing the Hezbollah attacks. Israel and Hezbollah fought a month-long war in 2006. Both sides claimed victory. In Hong Kong today, pro-democracy demonstrators blocked roads to the airport and damaged a train station. Several hundred protesters used burning barricades to disrupt public transportation service to the airport, but police in riot helmets kept them out of the main terminal. The government claims that the protesters threw objects at the police and that iron poles, bricks, and rocks were thrown onto the track of the airport train. Today's protests followed a night of violent clashes between anti-government demonstrators and police. For a list of the imported goods subject to today's tariff hikes, visit pbs.org/newshour. Mass shootings sadly have become too regular in the United States. Less common is the kind of training and preparation that can save lives in the midst of tragedy the next time such a shooting occurs. Our story tonight comes to us from John Ferrugia and our colleagues at Rocky Mountain PBS in Colorado, where, as you'll see, training and preparation have made a difference.
My dad always says that the world's not a scary place, you just have to be prepared. And so I grew up really having an awareness of what was going on around me all the time.
Madalena DeAndrea is a graduate and a former student body president of the University of Colorado at Boulder. Her father, A.J. DeAndrea, is a deputy police chief of the Arvada, Colorado Police Department and a former SWAT team member. He was one of the team leaders who responded to the Columbine High School mass murder 20 years ago.
We had a plan. We were prepared. It was just the wrong plan.
In 1999, when a gunman was barricaded in a building with hostages, the standard law enforcement protocol was to set up a perimeter around the building and call the SWAT team to begin negotiations. But Columbine was different. The gunmen were only interested in killing those inside the school.
By the time SWAT gets there, it's way too late.
It was for DeAndrea a personal and professional failure.
It took Columbine for us to change our mind, to change the way that we viewed the world. Columbine is the watershed moment when we start to talk about active shooters. Not just school shootings, but active shootings.
Over the past 20 years, DeAndrea has worked to develop new training tactics in Colorado and across the U.S., Canada, and in Europe to deal with an active shooter.
This is Carol at Platte Canyon. We've got somebody with a gun. Shots fired. They have students in the building.
Those evolving tactics were used in 2006 when a lone gunman took hostages in a high school classroom in Bailey, Colorado. A sheriff's deputy immediately entered the building and confronted the gunman, keeping him isolated, and then called the SWAT team that included DeAndrea.
Shooting incident, Platte Canyon High, roll.
All but one student, Emily Keys, got out alive.
He's down. Took a girl with him. Get in medical.
At Platte Canyon, everyone says that was a tactical success. You said to me, now that was a failure.
That was a failure.
Because you lost Emily Keys.
Because we lost Emily. There's no one that will ever be able to convince me that that was a success.
DeAndrea says in an active shooting situation, everyone needs to take responsibility for their own safety.
What's the real target?
The individual.
The individual. So we need to train that across the board. And so we talk about evacuate, evade, defend.
Evacuate, evade, and defend are actions based on U.S. Department of Homeland Security guidelines released in 2013. Actions born out of mass shootings and training by both law enforcement and survivors. DeAndrea's view of the post-Columbine world has also shaped the lessons he has taught his own family.
I always knew where the exits were in a building. In high school, I would make sure I would know how to get out of my classrooms if something happened or where I would hide. I grew up really having an awareness of what was going on around me all the time and just making sure I kind of had a plan.
That planning would help save her life. In November of last year, Madalena, who was working in Los Angeles, went out with friends at a small country and western bar in nearby Thousand Oaks, California.
I love swing dancing, I love line dancing, so it was really exciting to find the little gem in the midst of the big city. And I was getting a drink of water and was kind of standing on the outside of the dance floor, and I heard popping noises.
Be advised, there are multiple shots being fired.
On my phone when I get a text.
For shooting at Borderline.
And as I look at it, it's my daughter.
Suspect's wearing a black hat.
I'm like, what is going on here? And she's, Dad, I'm in the bar. There's gunfire.
So I knew it wasn't fireworks. And I started to smell the powder. And immediately I heard my dad's voice in my head, you've got to get out of there. The only door I knew about in the building was the door he came in. And so that wasn't safe. I knew I couldn't get out that way. So the next thing was to hide. And I was in that kitchen area, again, trying to put the wall in between the shooter and I. And a bartender pulled down a ladder from the ceiling. And so I immediately went up it after her. And a couple more people followed us up. And then we closed the trapdoor over the ladder. And then we were in the attic.
We got multiple people down. We need a lot of ambulances.
That night, it was the most hopeless I've ever felt in my life.
As the shooting continued in the bar below her, Madalena knew people were dying.
And I was trying to text people, and I realized in that moment that I couldn't text because my fingers were shaking. And so I had to calm myself down. And from there, once I started getting my heart rate lower, I was able to make some more logical decisions. I need to try to find some way to, defend us if he comes up here.
I'm listening to the radio traffic. I'm texting her, I'm talking to them, I'm sharing the text that she's giving me to their dispatch, and of course I'm booking a flight to Los Angeles on my iPad.
He got on the frequency for the Ventura County Sheriff's Department, and he was telling me what was happening on the radio.
12 people, including a responding police officer, were killed before the shooter turned the gun on himself.
The gunshots had stopped by that point in time, and I didn't know what was happening. At Columbine, they lost the desire to kill, but they were still walking around. And so I didn't know if that guy was still down there.
We have information that there's subjects secreted in the attic.
He got me on the phone with Ventura County's dispatch.
There's a bartender and possible other subjects hiding inside the crawl space in the attic.
They called my cell phone, and I picked up and very quietly told them that there was about 6 people in the attic with me.
The main business is secure. Ask them if they'll shout out.
And finally she's like, Dad, I can see SWAT.
I think because of the exposure to what my dad's been through, and then also just his voice in my head throughout the entire process, there was that sense of safety there, even in the midst of very intense unsafety. And yeah, I think it saved my life.
It came full circle. And my daughter's alive because she was empowered. She was empowered because we had the conversation. She did what she needed to do to survive. The message is you've got to talk about it.
20 years later, thinking about Columbine and that conversation is still difficult. Sitting in the high school recently, he explained why.
That day changed everything. And I'm very uneasy in here. When I'm in here, when I'm in these 4 walls, all I'm left with is the failures. When I'm outside of this building, I can see all the good that came from it. That all the lives that have been lost in these senseless killings aren't in vain, because we've learned and we've made changes and we're taking responsibility for what our part is. And that's the message.
This is PBS NewsHour Weekend, Sunday.
StoryCorps has been recording and sharing real experiences from people who have extraordinary stories to tell. In this animated short, 10-year-old Desmond Floyd and his mother have a difficult but important conversation about active shooter drills in school.
So, can you tell me exactly what happens in active shooter drills?
The teacher's supposed to lock the door, turn the lights off, and push this big desk behind the door. And the first time I did an active shooter drill, I saw her having a hard time with it, so I decided to come help her.
So what do you do next after you push the table?
The class is supposed to stand on the back wall, but I decided to stand in front of the class because I want to take the bullet and save my friends.
So did your teacher ask you to stand in front of the class?
No. My life matters, but it's kind of like there's one person that can come home to a family, or there can be 22 people that come home to a family. I get that you would want me to come home, but it's really not a choice that you can make. It's a choice that I have to make.
I see now that there's nothing I can say that would change your mind. I just hope that it never comes to that.
Talking about this makes me feel sad, but you raised a good person.
And this is why I can't have the conversation with you. You keep saying things like that, and I'm speechless. You're 10, and you're that 10-year-old who doesn't clean their room, and there's no handbook for this. This is why the conversation always ends between you and I in dead silence. Because I'm a mother. and I don't know what to say.
We will have much more on Hurricane Dorian and its path from the Bahamas toward the southeast United States and on the mass shooting in West Texas on tomorrow's NewsHour. That's all for this edition of PBS NewsHour Weekend. I'm Hari Srinivasan. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.
PBS NewsHour Weekend is made possible by Bernard and Irene Schwartz, Sue and Edgar Wachenheim III, the Cheryl and Philip Milstein family, the JPB Foundation, Rosalind P. Walter, in memory of George O'Neill, Barbara Hope Zuckerberg. Corporate funding is provided by Mutual of America, designing customized individual and group retirement products. That's why we're your retirement company. Additional support has been provided by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people, and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.
Be more PBS.